Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are about to watch... Fuck you, Tom. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are about to watch a SPOILERcast. This means there will be spoilers. You have like 15 seconds before the actual video starts playing. Remember, spoilers are gonna happen for Bioshock Infinite, like the biggest game that just came out. Spoilers. Like, the end of the game spoilers. I'm not kidding. Really. Leave this video right now. Like you got 3 seconds.
Oh, we're starting?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first spoiler video.
Mini video podcast.
Yeah.
SPOILERcast.
Yeah, so I'm Joe. I'm here. I'm joined with Tom.
What's up?
And just the other day, we on Tuesday, we bought Bioshock Infinite.
And it is an excellent masterpiece of a game. But
Yeah, if you want to check out, Tom did an unboxing of the premium edition. We have that on our channel. But we both beat Bioshock Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
And we should be very clear. Spoilers.
This is a SPOILERcast. It says in the title, SPOILERcast. So don't yell at us in the comment section for talking about the end of the game. We will give you 15 seconds before we start so you can stop watching the video if that wasn't clear enough for you.
So we both bought the game. We both beat the game. And I loved it.
Oh, so did I. It was fantastic.
It's this is in there 15 seconds before we start going spoiler. Now we're not going to talk about the gameplay and like we're going to save all that like stuff for
the podcast.
actual podcast
Yeah.
that will be available on iTunes this week. But we're just going to talk about the ending specifics. So this is all story spoilers. So let's get right to it. There are millions and millions and millions of alternate dimensions.
Now, like, when I found out the game was called Bioshock Infinite, I didn't really question it all that much. Like, I was like, oh, it's kind of weird, but okay, you know, whatever. I don't know why it's not just called Bioshock Skyland, Bioshock Columbia. But you actually find out Infinite stands for, like, the infinite amount of realities that exist.
That exist in this Bioshock-esque universe. And in fact, one of the biggest parts of the game
twist
that I just flipped over was when you walk through one of the first doors and you get into the world of Rapture.
Oh, yeah. Actually, what ends up happening is you control Songbird for a brief amount of time, and he, you know, gets out of your control and goes after Elizabeth, and she's like, no. And she opens up a tear, and you just see, like, a glass with water on the other side in front of you, and, you know, Songbird drowns, whatever, and it's all sad because you're supposed to sympathize with him. When that happened, I was like, okay, this is kind of Rapture-esque. Like, I was kind of getting myself hyped up, but I wasn't sure yet.
Yeah.
I turn around, and it's I think it's like the second room you enter in the first Bioshock. You're in Rapture.
It's actually the room where, like, you enter and the little sister walks by with the Big Daddy, and you're
then,
kind of falling in and out of consciousness.
The Splicers are like,
Yeah, they run away from the Big
this little
Daddy.
fishy's got his cherry pop.
It was just such a it's like such a throwback thing, because my big thing about this game was I was really hoping that it would somehow connect to Rapture from the first game, but I wasn't sure exactly like how they would pull it off. I didn't want it to be too cheesy. I didn't want it to be dumb, like, oh, Columbia fell from the sky and crashed into the water.
And now we have Rapture.
Yeah, like I was hoping it wasn't something stupid like that.
The way they did it was really intelligent, and like it was a really cool, subtle way to do it.
Yeah, and they opened up the door for like multiple, like clearly the next game will have nothing to do with Rapture or Columbia, and it will probably be set in its own little world.
Because the Bioshock, I think the best way to describe it is the Bioshock universe is made up of like millions of different realities, and you know, each reality has one constant. It's explained, and the constant is a man, a city, and a hero. Those are the three constants.
And then it has like shares the same theme, so that's why you had tonics and plasmids, not tonics, plasmids in
and vigors
in Bioshock 1, and you had vigors in
Infinite,
this, which are basically the same thing, and it's kind of explains itself like throughout the game. Like early in the game, you actually hear a Beach Boys song being sung, and it kind of makes sense because in this reality, this group made that song instead of the Beach Boys. It's small stuff like that throughout the game that I really enjoyed.
There
of that type of
I
alternate
didn't.
dimension.
I saw them singing that, but I thought like maybe the song. I didn't know that was a Beach Boys
it's a straight
song.
out Beach Boys. I
That's
can't remember
so
the name
cool.
of it.
I guess I didn't notice that. There are other really cool moments where like you'll walk up to a tear in the game and you'll hear like Madonna coming out of the tear, and then the tear will close. And it's just there's another part that a standout part for me was when you enter the reality where you get the Vox Populi, their weapons, and they start the rebellion, and Colombia is in complete and total war. Anyway, you walk by this like this stand where there's the whatchamacallit, the things where they put them in like this.
Oh yeah. You see
the stockades.
The black woman singing.
Yeah, and there's a woman sitting there singing, and she sings "It Ain't Me," and she sings the entire song, and it's just so cool. Like, there's a lot of cool things like that in the game.
Yeah, and they're hidden throughout the entire thing. Another thing that was really cool about the overall story was you find out that because of this multi-universal setting that they went through, you find out that there's multiple Bookers, and there's also multiple what's his name? Comsworth?
Comstock.
Comstock,
but
not Comsworth.
You find out Comstock and Booker are the same person.
One and the same, yeah.
Exactly. What happens is Booker, he's in the Battle of Wounded Knee. He was part of the Pinkertons.
That detail slips my mind.
But anyway, they were this company back then that they sent these people in to, deal with the working riots of that time, of the Industrial Revolution, and it was often dealt, violently. So he feels guilty for what he did in the Battle of Wounded Knee and, stopping those riots. So he's at this a baptism. It's a really key moment in his life, and he's at a baptism, and two things could happen. In the reality that you initially start playing through, Booker doesn't go through with the baptism and stays Booker DeWitt. But in another reality, and this explains how Comstock came to be, Booker actually goes through with the baptism, and basically his whole life, he decides to change his whole life, and he legally changes his name to Zachary Comstock.
Yeah, and he becomes this ruler of this new country that he wants to build, which ends up being Colombia, and he becomes a god-type figure to the people there. And what's really interesting is the reason Booker's in this situation anyway is because Comstock is wants to be the ruler of, wants an heir to his throne, but he's you find out he's sterile
because of his exposure to the tears, right?
I think so you find out that he's sterile, and he actually travels through time. He works with the woman that begins with the L. She's kind of there the entire game.
Lucetta.
Yeah, Lucetta, and she is the one that engineers the city, how Colombia actually even moves.
Mm-hmm.
And so she helps him open this tear, and you find out that Elizabeth is in fact Booker's daughter.
Yeah, but she was named Anna DeWitt.
So Comstock knows that Booker DeWitt is going to eventually come for his daughter, not knowing that it's his daughter. And so that's how throughout the game you're wondering, how does Comstock know? Like, is he really a prophet?
Mm-hmm.
Can he really see all this coming? Because that's the whole theme of the game, is that he was able to see the future, and he was only able to see it because he could open these tears thanks to the help of his friends. And then you find out, like, it's just really deep in there, and then you find out, like, he predicted that Booker DeWitt was going to have the A.D. carved into his name, and that stands for Anne DeWitt, which is Elizabeth, technically.
So what Comstock basically did was he put up all these signs, and the person with the marking of A.D. is the false prophet.
And of course, once the people of Colombia find this out, they start attacking you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a brilliant game, the fact that it comes full circle, that you can look at almost any little aspect to it, and it's explained. They explain it in one way or another, and it's just so cool that they're able to pull this off.
It's similar to the first Bioshock in that manner, where like there's all these little hints, and then at the end, it all makes sense.
Yeah, they tell you. The first Bioshock was much, I think, simpler because it stayed contained in Rapture, and in this one they kind of explode, and they're kind of like, this is how we're going to explain it. And
so Yeah, but what eventually happens is Booker and Elizabeth decide the only way to stop this from happening is to kill Comstock, when he was born. Because, if they don't do it when he's born, there's going to be like a million different versions of Comstock in all these realities. And this is before Booker knows that he is Comstock. So what happened is he tells Elizabeth, I want to go to the birth of Comstock, and it takes him back to the baptism. And that's when he realizes, I am Comstock. And then like a bunch of different versions of Elizabeth from all these different realities come out, and they actually drown him.
Yeah, they ended up drowning him, and that's like the end of the game. All the other Elizabeths / Anns disappear, except for one.
The camera cuts out before she evaporates.
Credits start rolling, and then if you sit through the entire credits, you see a little duet between the two actors. But then at the very end, you see
I'm sorry. A duet.
A duet.
It's a pun. Duet.
Oh God.
Oh, that's our camera guy Charlie right now. God.
I couldn't. I had to.
God damn it,
Okay.
Charlie.
Anyways, so God, I hate you so much. So there's an ending scene after the credits. You wake up and you're in your office. The entire time you have a few flashbacks to this office, so you recognize where you are. And then you start calling Anne's name, and you walk into her baby room. You open the door, and then it cuts.
You hear her crying though.
Yeah, so you're not sure if she's. You pretty much assume she's there, but at the same time, maybe it's like. My theory is, now this is where me and you kind of split off on theories, and this is kind of where people can branch out to. My theory is that him drowning himself in that one reality didn't change anything. I look at it more of a unhappy ending. I look at it as more of, like, no matter what, Columbia's going to exist. Like, there will always be a Comstock, and there will always be a Booker DeWitt to challenge him. No matter how those universes go, there will always be that third party, the Vox, whatever they
Vox
are.
Populi.
Vox Populi. There's always going to be them, but in all the different universes, it plays out in all these different ways. So I took it as whatever he didn't affect, like, the grand scheme like he thought he was, which kind of, like, voids the whole game, but it technically doesn't because there's so many of these universes. Like, they basically tell you there's millions and millions of them. So I don't think it's crazy to think that just because he killed himself in one doesn't mean he ended it in every other one.
Now, I took it as almost a sign of a happy ending, and the reason I did that was because I saw it as, Booker, when he killed himself, when he was drowned at the baptism, that stopped him from staying Booker DeWitt and going and starting the rebellion of the Vox Populi, and that also prevented him from becoming Comstock. So I think that should have been pretty final, But I also think when he did that, that signified the death of Comstock, and it allowed Booker DeWitt, I think that opened up a new reality for a happy ending where he can live his life normally almost without the worry of building Columbia or becoming Comstock, and he lives his life normally and raises Anna DeWitt, who is actually Elizabeth, to be his daughter, like she was always meant to be.
See, that's like the happier way to look at it.
That's what I got out of it.
What I really like about this ending is that they could literally make hundreds upon thousands of Bioshock games, and they can basically say whatever because they always can crutch back to this. Of course, they won't. They'll probably make like 3 or 4 more set in these, and as long as, like, if they can keep the stories as good as they have been with Bioshock 1 and Infinite, I wonder, like, obviously Bioshock 2 doesn't fall into the crutch that Bioshock 1 and Infinite have, because they kind of have the same setup of city, evil guy, good guy, the theme of what is the constants in them. So I wonder, like, what time period they'll go to next, what alternate kind of time period they'll hit at. And I feel like they can have a very... I don't want them to do this right away because I think there's more important U.S. historical moments that they can piggyback off. But I think they can do... I think they're opening a door for a very cool, different, modern type of setting. Now, that might... take people away. Cool. But I think if they twist it enough, and once again, it's all about the story. If they can just wrap this story together and keep it really well, like keep it tight.
And they always manage to do that.
Yeah, I mean, 2 games this generation, 2 almost perfect games.
2 of what I would consider the best games of this generation.
Yeah, if you look at the reviews, it's almost 10s across the board. Like for both games, it can, like, it's a real like step to be able to achieve that.
No, I think there's going to be a similar situation to Bioshock, how there was Bioshock 2, which took place in Rapture. I think we're going to get another Infinite game, which takes place in Colombia and tells another story, which I honestly wouldn't mind just because it's such a fascinating place. I think after that, they'll move to a new setting and a new location.
Yeah, I think 2K will have another studio just like they did.
And here's the thing. You can make the complaint that, oh, it's unoriginal. Oh, a city in a weird place. How original. You haven't done that for two, games already. However, it's not the city that's, the city's cool, whatever. Rapture's a cool place. Columbia's a cool place. It's the ideology behind the cities and the themes touched upon in the story and the way the story is told that sets these games apart.
Yeah, and that's really what makes them so well made. But there's this, we can literally go on forever. We don't want to continue go crazy.
The ending it's great because it's left very open, and you can kind of, like me and Joe, we told you our different takes on it. I bet there are like an infinite amount of different takes out there. It's just that it's that great. That's how you know you have a great game ending, when you have it being discussed like this.
Yeah. So if you want to hear more about us talk about Bioshock Infinite, we'll have a lot more to say in this week's Secret Level podcast.
I'm actually writing a review for the game. That'll probably be up within a week and a half.
Yeah, we'll get more details about the website and everything soon. That's available on iTunes. Search Secret Level. If you like us, subscribe, rate us, write a review. If you like this video, if you have any ideas of your own, leave them in the comments, because we will respond if we think it's really good, or maybe if we disagree. But interesting conversation to have with this type of ending. So if you do it, like the video, please subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you guys.
See you guys soon.
Hopefully we do more spoiler casts with more games. Because definitely if they keep going on like this.
If the game warrants it.
Yeah, if the game warrants a great story like this did. All right, so I'm Joe, and this is Tom.
Signing out.
Goodbye.
Bye.
I touched you. Okay.
How long was that?
16 minutes.
Okay.
That's fine. Right, now let's all watch the silliness that is Chroma Key.
Why?
Because it's funny. Here, come here. Hopefully. The lighting was great. Oh my god, my arm just got way too tired during the end.
Yeah.
I suddenly quickly realized how awful, without actually having, 2 more tripods and 2 more of those things, which...
Yeah, well, that's what I said. When you said you were going to hold them, I was going to...